I ripped my wife's divorce papers. Me, 27M, and my wife, 31F, hit a rough spot and have been separated at home for almost a year now. It was largely my fault that after a big setback and my father's death, I fell into alcoholism and despair, stopped taking care of myself and neglected her when not emotionally abusing her. Eventually she had enough, and after I refused therapy for the nth time, consulted a divorce lawyer, and drafted papers. I signed them off right away, but she didn't, keeping them in her room. She knew I was in a hard spot financially, so she said she'd wait for me to come into my inheritance so I could move out, and then she'd sign and file for a no-fault divorce, not from the US. In our country you can do this. After 2 months sleeping in my home office, I got sick of it, and stopped drinking, dived into work, and overall did chores around the house and helped her out. When she commented on my change, I boasted I was doing it for myself and not for her, and she agreed because while she wanted me out, she still cared for me. Over the last months she also occasionally asked me to sleep in the bed with her, and not in my home office. Nothing intimate happened, but still she would spoon-feed me. This until last evening. We had gotten closer and closer, especially over the holidays, and I told her that what I said was not true. I had changed, and stopped drinking to show her, at first, but then I really wanted to turn over a new leaf and be a good soon-to-be ex-husband. She went to her room and picked the divorce papers, setting them in front of me. She asked what we should do with them, so I ripped them and she yelled out a big, "Yes!" and then hugged me. So, I guess we won't be getting divorced. Hooray! Comments. Your wife is a keeper. Guard her with your life and don't ever break her heart. Good luck, bro. OP, I will, thank you. I was so deep down in negativity that I couldn't see how I hurt her. To add, I may sound neutral/uncaring by the tone of the post, but I really didn't expect what happened, what I did, and how she'd react. We had talked a bit previously about this, and all she said was that she was in no hurry to divorce as long as I was respectful and kept improving. I had a hunch she wanted to try and reconcile, but she was already being so generous to me that I didn't want to try and push my luck. And I admit it feels weird that we can be husband and wife again. I guess it will take some time after over a year as roommates. Comment. Just to add, she likely wanted the changes, but wanted them to be motivated changes not based on a threat. OP making the changes, even after signing the papers, shows the changes are for himself and good soon-to-be ex-husband, very different than proving you should be a keeper. OP, thank you. She was ready to go through with it because even if she loves me, she couldn't keep enduring me hurting both myself and her, emotionally and morally, and I think she was right to do that. It still feels weird to be sleeping in the same bed every night and be affectionate. We haven't been intimate at all during separation, and she hinted she wants to reconnect too on that level. Comment. Take things slow. Show her intimacy, not sex. Learn to be best friends, whether for the first time or again. Confide in her and listen, really listen, when she confides in you. Share your thoughts and emotions with her. You don't have to grieve alone, and I don't think she ever wanted you to. There's nothing sexier than a guy who is in touch with himself enough that he will cry in front of his girl. Let her know you trust her enough to share that with her. And it's okay to let her hold you while you grieve. You don't have to be the strong one all the time. You should each be able to feel your individual pain and be comforted. OP, you are right. I definitely need to learn to be more open emotionally, and I'm working on it in therapy. Also, when we hug or cuddle, I admit to her that it feels a bit weird, but also pleasant and fuzzy, after so much time. She just reassures me that for those things we have all the time in the world. But she also said no hurry and took things at our pace. Comment. Eventually she had enough, and after I refused therapy for the nth time. This is the actual step you need to take. Therapy. You're an alcoholic coming out of a major depressive episode. This won't be the last depressive episode, nor will it be the last relapse. Don't let the honeymoon period blind you to what's really happening. You have a golden opportunity to save your marriage. Start doing the real work. OP, you are absolutely right. I am doing therapy now. Where it transpired, I was swapping alcoholism for workaholism, so now we are trying to find a healthy ground because that in the long run would undo all the progress so far. Update 1. However, soon after the realization that I had planned my whole new year around the fact I was getting divorced, and that the decision of reconciliation actually brought me uncertainty and anxiety. My wife noticed that, and we had a number of heart-to-hearts about this. There was talking, laughs, and even tears during those talks, tears of the good, liberatory kind. My wife rarely if almost never cries, she's the stoic type, but seeing her break into tears, sobbing how much I hurt her and she still loves me, was like getting stabbed in the heart. I realized the pain I caused her is still fresh and burning. She unloaded all the pain and turmoil I had inflicted upon her with my past behavior, and admitted she felt both proud and bitter about my changes in the last year. Proud because I turned my life so quickly, as if she was what was holding me back, and she wasn't worth my best self. However, she was also angry at herself because she was already reconsidering the divorce back in June, but didn't say anything or gave me signals because she feared I'd revert to my old behavior, or would rebuff her. In the meantime, I had started to renovate my father's old villa, well, more of a big house than a proper mansion to move in this year, and gave her only breadcrumbs information about it, and she was both positively surprised to learn about all the work I am putting into it, and again a bit bitter that I didn't tell her anything and all my projects were designed without her in mind, as if she was just an already fading memory. The possibility of an amicable divorce has been brought up again, but she wanted 2 clear answers. 1. Was there another woman? 2. Did I actually stop loving her? The answer to both questions is no. I told her I did suffer from losing her in our marriage, but I didn't want to be the ex-husband who made fleeting promises, hounded her down and made a nuisance of herself. It's the least I could have done after making her suffer so much, and also thank her for her infinite kindness. I just worked, did my best to be a good soon-to-be ex-husband, paid my utilities and wanted to pay her a rent for the room she allocated me in her home, which she always refused even when I insisted. Eventually arrived the $1 million question, do we want this marriage to work? Answer: yes. It won't be easy and there's still a lot of work to be done. We agreed to take baby steps and have already booked couple therapy for this week. I am already doing individual therapy, but now she'll be looking for individual therapy for herself as well. In the last week, we went on some quiet dates, walks and a short hiking trip. I also made a peace offering, of sorts, by asking her if she wanted to participate in my renovation project of my father's house, giving her input and ideas. She was enthusiastic about it. She likes gardening, but her property has no garden and she makes do with the potted plants on the balcony, while my father's house has a large garden and a big plot of overgrown land behind it. She said we will be busting our backs, but it will be worth it, and I think that working together on a shared project will help re-establish our bond. So that's where we stand now. The road is still long and difficult, but I am hopeful. I wish to sincerely thank all the Redditor who gave me their insights, comments, praises and criticism. Comment. Congratulations. I was the one who suggested doing the renovation together. I'm glad she liked the idea. Best of luck. OP. Yes, I took your advice and couldn't thank you enough for it, my friend. It brought out an enthusiasm I had not seen in so long. Comment. I'm really happy to read this one. The last one ended realistic but also hopeful and optimistic. OP. Yes, it would have been foolish to think everything would have been fine right away. It's not like in movies where they make up, make passionate love and are lovey-dovey all of a sudden. There's been distance for a year and hurt on both sides, and it will take time to heal and be close to each other again. Update 2. Little changed in the last week. We had our first couple counseling session and her first therapy session. We laid down the framework for our marriage, went out on some dates and overall spent quality time together. We still haven't been intimate. She tried to initiate once, but I gently turned it into cuddling and talking. Another issue is that I have some difficulty sleeping in the same bed as her, not because I have something against her, but I'm so used to sleeping in my own bed that often I sleep 1 or 2 hours with her, wake up and head to my home office/bedroom and sleep there. I wake up earlier and fix breakfast for her. She's happy about it but mentioned once I didn't sleep with her. Do those things take time? I believe so, but I'm a bit scared I'm giving the impression I gave up on our marriage. I believe it will take months and lots of work to get back to how we were, while she thinks the process should be quicker and I'm being too hard on myself and her. Comment. In the Dead Bedroom subreddit, people have discussed how you lose sexual familiarity with someone and may feel uninterested or repulsed. You might have to rebuild it like you're new to each other in dating. In some ways, you're not the same people anymore as when you first met. Update 3. I have been sober for over a year, and got sober after she served me divorce papers. She decided to try to reconcile last January, and although things have been not easy to say the least, we still sleep separately. I don't feel secure enough to have sex with her, and we do lots of individual and couple therapy. We somehow are managing. However, despite what she says, I can't get over the shame that I have been a useless and abusive drunkard, and she probably remembers me as such, and the shame and guilt become unbearable. I work as a civil servant in family services, ironically enough, and recently I got moved to the cabinet in the provincial government, even had a photo shaking hands with our Prime Minister. My wife picked this photo and put it on Facebook for everyone to see, writing how proud she was. I do think she genuinely believes this, and I'm happy, but I also think she's too eager to rug sweep the past and our problems aren't fixed at all. I still feel lots of shame and guilt towards her every time I look at her, and at a certain point even looked forward to divorce. But she insists I am doing all the right things, and if I love her, divorce would be something I'll end up regretting. I just feel we will never overcome this, and although many moments are happy and I do my best to give her quality time, sometimes she notices this and says to take it easy. She says I try too hard sometimes and it comes off as artificial. She likes that now I'm all smiles, always shaved, well dressed and gentlemanly with her, but joke that sometimes I look like the president of her country of origin. I'm doing my best though, even at the cost of overdoing it. Comment. You should really talk to a therapist and get longitudinal guidance. You're doing too much, and it will come across as cringe and overbearing. OP, we are doing therapy, but so far it's still very early. I was very apathetic about everything, so now I try my best to be enthusiastic about things. She usually likes it, but once I made a dance step, she laughed but also said, "What the hell was that?" Update 7. I have been sober for over a year, and got sober after she served me divorce papers. She decided to try to reconcile last January, and although things have been not easy to say the least, we still sleep separately. I don't feel secure enough to have sex with her, and we do lots of individual and couple therapy. We somehow are managing. However, despite what she says, I can't get over the shame that I have been a useless and abusive drunkard, and she probably remembers me as such, and the shame and guilt become unbearable. I work as a civil servant in family services, ironically enough, and recently I got moved to the cabinet in the provincial government, even had a photo shaking hands with our Prime Minister. My wife picked this photo and put it on Facebook for everyone to see, writing how proud she was. I do think she genuinely believes this, and I'm happy, but I also think she's too eager to sweep the past and our problems aren't fixed at all. I still feel lots of shame and guilt towards her every time I look at her, and at a certain point even look forward to divorce. But she insists I am doing all the right things, and if I love her, divorce would be something I'll end up regretting. I just feel we will never overcome this, and although many moments are happy and I do my best to give her quality time, cook her favorite dishes and get her gifts, I can't help but feel hopeless and even alone in my feelings. She wants for us to move on, but while for her it might be easy to forgive me, for me it's not easy to let go of the shame of what I was to her. My therapist says I have to deal with it on my own as I caused all this, and I agree, but I don't know how to move forward. Is there something I can do, or should I learn to accept this and live with it? Maybe with time it will get better? After all, a year sober is almost nothing. Comment. Get a new therapist, he told you. You're on your own? That sounds a bit unethical. Your wife loves you and wants you to heal. She is doing everything she can to help you towards that goal. Seems you need to forgive yourself before you make a decision about I can't help but feel hopeless and even alone in my feelings. She wants for us to move on, but while for her it might be easy to forgive me, for me it's not easy to let go of the shame of what I was to her. My therapist says I have to deal with it on my own as I caused all this, and I agree, but I don't know how to move forward. Is there something I can do, or should I learn to accept this and live with it? Maybe with time it will get better? After all, a year sober is almost nothing. Update 4. She had every right to file for divorce because of my alcoholism. She didn't deserve that. In the meantime I was sick of it, so I stopped drinking, focused on my career and on renovating my father's house. She wanted to reconcile upon seeing those changes, and I agreed. But now I'm realizing I had internalized the divorce in my life plans. I planned my new lease on life about it. I can't see myself being intimate with her. She tried a couple of times and I gently turned her down. As a gesture of goodwill I asked her if she wanted to participate in my father's home renovation project, and she accepted with enthusiasm. She always wanted a garden. Now I'm regretting it because that was supposed to be my retreat from the world and I will have to share it with her. I said all of this to her. She was upset but also understanding. In her opinion part of the fault is hers. She never communicated about reconciliation and sprung it up on me, and as a result what should have been a happy thing became a source of stress and anxiety for me. My therapist and her are saying this is my depression talking, but I'm not so sure. Are we truly done? Update 5. She said she already knew many of the things I wrote, including the comments about gems and flowers. She said if she knew the anguish a reconciliation would soon cause, she wouldn't have offered it, and is regretting it. She thanks everyone for the kind words and appreciations made towards her. At the same time she got upset because in her opinion I put things worse than they are, so either I exaggerated them, or I've been keeping my true feelings from her, and this is a big problem. For example, she says I'm not as cold as I'm making myself up to be, and that she's not as pushy as I make her to be, and in fact she's been giving me lots of space. She says I'm doing weird self-sabotage here. She says I'm trying to get her to leave me, but it won't happen, and if I really want to end it I have to do it myself. She doesn't agree with it, but if I want to move out she won't oppose it. She wasn't angry, just very numb. Update 6. Things are not easy, but overall they are going well, both in therapy and everyday life. There's still some issues in getting intimate, but we are getting there. Sometimes though the shame and guilt become too much, and I wonder why she is even staying with me. Maybe some costs? I do my best, little gifts, dates, cooking her favorite dishes. 2 months later, things are going lukewarmly well. Talks of reinitiating divorce proceedings have stopped, and although we still sleep separately and have no intimacy, my issues, working on it with my therapist, we are doing well. Sometimes I feel I can't get over the shame that I have been a useless and abusive drunkard, and she probably remembers me as such, and the shame and guilt become unbearable, but then it passes a bit. Basically we are starting over dating, doing bonding activities. I get her gifts and surprises. She admitted she thought things would go faster, but in the end agrees with me that after a year separated things can't just get back as before. She also says I am too hard on myself, but I think she's the one being too indulgent. But apart from those difficulties, we are doing fine. Comment. Basically we are starting over dating, doing bonding activities. I've been following your story and happy you seem to be making progress. You both have been through a lot of turmoil but have stuck with each for the most part. So keep working at it. Seek therapy to help along the road. I think once you get over the intimacy blockage, you will be much better off as a couple. Keep working at it, OP. Take care. OP, thank you. I have hope, but sometimes I feel like we are stuck or that we are delaying the inevitable. Although I feel like this only occasionally. Comment. Break through the wall, OP. I think you can make this work. Update 9. Things are going well, reasonably so. Still having issues in the bedroom, but I am working on them to try and be a good husband, at least on that aspect. Last week I received a work assignment in the capital of our country. It's a 2-month-long assignment, and I'll be provided state housing. She is excited about this and already wants to pack her bags. I have my doubts about her coming along for me, not so much. Cut them all off and not interested in reconnecting, her support system as a whole. She has reasons and loved ones to stay here, unlike me. She won't budge. Since we are married, it's her full right to come along, and since she has her own e-commerce business, she can manage it remotely. Plus she wants us to get back home every weekend. I know better than dying on this hill, so I'll be leaving with her. That's it. Naturally, I am always, cautiously and within reason, hopeful about our future together. Update 10. I couldn't take it anymore, and I did not understand why I kept having negative thoughts about my wife and me despite things going well, and some of you got into my ear there could be something wrong in my head. So we got in touch with a professional, got tests done, and found out my blood values were very screwed up. This led the doctors to speculate a chemical imbalance in my brain and prescribed me antidepressants. Not exactly antidepressants, they are mood regulators, they told me. Both my wife and I were hesitant about this, but I gave it a try, and lo and behold, my negative thoughts disappeared overnight. I finally feel in control of my emotions. I feel that I love my wife, and I feel that things can and will get better. I was putting on a front before, but now I really enjoy spending time with her and making her smile. We started making love again, and no blue pill was needed, and we got back from the capital every weekend. We are turning my father's old villa into our private retreat and love nest. I did apologize for my unreliable behavior in the past months after she had extended me an olive branch. She said she doesn't blame me because of what we know now, but I still think it's not a valid excuse. I should have sought medical help sooner. Now I can say, and mean it, that I'm happy and grateful my wife practically gave me a third chance, and I don't want to waste it. I want to make her smile every day and enjoy everything to the fullest. I guess this is it, and you won't be hearing from me ever again. I just want to thank you guys for your inputs, opinions, advice, and criticism. Comment. Congrats, OP. Many have been following your story and happy you gave us a positive story to read. Continue to take care of you and your wife. OP, thank you my friend, I will. It feels like I've been on a very long hangover and it cleared up just now. Comment. I followed your story, and I was one of those thinking there was something wrong in your head. No offense, I mean the chemical imbalance. I'm glad to see medication has improved you and your wife's quality of life. I think she's especially happy because after all this time she finally got back the love of her life. OP, thank you. I admit I am a bit afraid I could end up hooked on medication for the rest of my life, but doctors reassured me it won't be the case. Comment. And anyhow, it's wonderful to see that you are finally getting medicated for the issue that you self-medicated with alcohol. I wish you the best. OP, you are right. I stopped drinking, but I never properly prioritized taking care of myself and my wife. This has changed now. Update 11. My mental state is always good, and my wife is always smiling. She's letting her creativity flourish in my father's villa garden. She has lots of projects, and has already planted a lot of different flowers and plants. When we are there, she just loves relaxing in the garden after a long day, and sometimes even falls asleep there. For now we stay there occasionally, but we are thinking about moving there permanently and for my wife to rent her place. And it was a lot of fun to discover all the rooms in the house, explore the attic and the rest of the property. Wife says this is our slice of paradise, and who knows, if things keep going well it would be the best place to raise a family. We travel a lot between the capital and our town for my work, and all the traveling makes us bond even more. We make little stops on the way and discover new places. Our love life has also caught up and we have done and experimented much more in the last months than all the years we have been married, and she's very happy I initiated much more than I did in the past. Overall, I'd say we are more than okay. Comment. Such a nice update, OP. I've followed your story from the beginning, and it is so refreshing to read a happy update. Take care of you and your lovely wife. Start that family to fill up the villa with children's voices, laughter, and love.